A lot of drama in Virginia high school football. I know Grant and Danny have talked about it a lot. This Hayfield football drama continues to roll on. If you're not that familiar with it, here's the deal. Hayfield High School has a principal, Darren Thompson, and an athletic director named Monty Fritz.
I guess the athletic director's leaving.
Yes, he's leaving now. But
scandal.
They had a head coach in Saeed Aziz who took over in 2021. He took over a team that had won 2 games. He actually turned that around. They were atop the conference for 3 seasons, but they didn't have any playoff wins. So the principal and athletic director, they let go of Aziz, and they said, who can we get? And there was a guy at Freedom High School, the head coach, named Daryl Overton. He had a lot of success there. He was like a private sports trainer, ran 7-on-7 teams.
The high school's in Woodbridge.
Yes. They won the state championship in 2022, 48-14.
Mm-hmm.
They were undefeated in 2023. In 9 years, he touts 50 players going on to play college football. I think Division I football, but that's a lot of players when most schools are lucky to get one.
Mm-hmm.
So Thompson and Fritz hire Overton after they fire Aziz. They managed to give him some sort of a security job. I think he's a security supervisor for the school where he's making like $58,000. All of the coaches from Freedom High School also followed. His brother got a teaching assistant job.
Yep. And multiple players, like 14 players, also transferred.
Right. And then the players,
that's the deal. How can you transfer?
Before they even transfer Cakes, they started having spring practices.
Mm-hmm.
And people said that these players who were still at Freedom High School started showing up in the hallways at Hayfield High School and in the weight room. And then there's a little controversy. In the summer before the season starts, they do an investigation because, like you said, now these players start transferring. One kid from St. John's, another kid from DeMatha, kids from all over start transferring to Hayfield High School.
Hilarious.
The superintendent, Michelle Reed, got involved in June. So this is before the fall football season. They did some sort of an investigation, and she refuted tales of improper transfers and fake addresses. Now, I was reading one of these town halls. One of the guys said, what are the odds that 15 kids move to the same neighborhood?
Yeah. This seems like shenanigans are
I don't even know what to say about this.
And then they start playing and they start destroying the public school teams. They played Riverdale Baptist, a private school team, and Riverdale Baptist actually beat them. All right. That's why the public schools don't play the private schools, because the private schools can recruit and get these top players. Well, in Virginia, recruiting is not allowed at Virginia public schools. Hayfield High School, the coach, their claim is, well, these players transferred legally and they live here and there's nothing
untoward.
Exactly.
Well, it's very simple. Can you prove that these guys have addresses that live in the neighborhood?
That live within whatever specified.
And if it's like an aunt or a cousin or something, I don't know that there's much you could do about it. It is what it is. Can they prove it? You either can or you can't.
So they were going to be frozen out of the playoffs, Hayfield High School.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been some court proceedings, and they were allowed to play last night. Now, I see that they won against Edison 70-6, but CK sent us a text that they were up 75-0 at the half. So I don't know the exact score, but they are demolishing people. And in October, they played a game where the other team was down so big that the head coach just decided to take delay of game penalties on every play.
Mm-hmm.
And Hayfield was upset. They're like, this isn't fun for our kids. They only get to run 3 offensive plays in the half.
Okay, but what was the lead at that point? My counter, if I'm the coach who's getting my brains beaten in, I would say, you know what? Sorry, your kids aren't having fun. All these kids that you recruited to get an unfair advantage against my kids, we're playing it straight. Like, sorry, you're not You're not getting to run all the plays you want to beat us 100-0.
If you want to chime in, 800-636-1067. So that was October 4th. So it wasn't that long ago. They played Falls Church. Hayfield was up 21-0 after 2 offensive plays from scrimmage.
Right.
They recovered a Falls Church fumble in the end zone. That's 1 touchdown. And then they had another defensive touchdown, which was negated by penalty. I mean, they score on every play.
Look,
it's unbelievable.
If you play by the rules and you have a team that's going to go out and just mow over another team, that's fine. That's the way high school sports works sometimes. Sometimes you're just up against a better opponent. But if you have a bunch of kids who were at a previous school together and then all of a sudden they're showing up at informal workouts, they're in your weight room all of a sudden and they're not even registered at the school or don't have addresses that correspond to that school, I'm sorry, that's crossing the line. That's cheating. And that should be dealt with. That team should be sidelined, in my opinion.
Yeah, These kids, what if they're all valid? Let me just be the villain here. Okay, let me be the villain.
Sure.
Let me take their side. What if they all have addresses?
They all just have that. They live with a cousin. All of a sudden,
I don't know.
They've gone to Liberty for 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden,
parents got a condo.
Then in mass, they all show up. It's not 1 or 2 kids. It's
15 of them.
14 transferred from one school.
Parents just said, you know what? I want my kid to go play D1. We're gonna play. We're just gonna get a condo over here.
For the most part, high school sports is not supposed to be about beating your opponent 80-0.
I agree.
It's supposed to be about teaching kids character, being part of a team, the values of both winning and losing. Like, it's not supposed to be, we're going to assemble a super team and we're going to skirt the rules and just beat every team by 50 points.
I agree. But what if they're not skirting the rules?
It sounds like they're skirting the rules.
What if they're not? How could you not?
I know what you're saying.
What if they just actually
they have
addresses?
Like they found the loophole to
whatever. Yeah,
do it. Just
they
put
got
down
an
the
aunt
address.
or somebody lives there. They got a relative, or they just rented a condo for 6 months.
I think we can all agree they're violating the spirit of what high school sports is generally supposed to be,
especially at the public schools. It has a feel of what Deion Sanders did at Colorado, right? Because part of the story, too, is the kids that were at Hayfield High School. And look, nothing is given to you. But they had a quarterback who the head coach said, you're going to be the face of the program. He didn't even try out for the team this year because all the guys from Freedom came over and the coach came over. And he's like, well, I'm done. I'm out. I'm on the outs.
Got pushed
out.
And
that reminds me of what happened at Colorado. Now it's allowed in college football with the transfer portal and everything, but you're a Division I athlete. You signed to play at Colorado. Your team stinks, but you're playing. All of a sudden, they hire a new coach, and then you got to find a new place to play.
Can I be radical?
And these are high school players.
Can I be radical? I think they should just allow recruiting in the public schools. It's allowed in the private schools.
Why not? I disagree with
Why?
that because some schools just have inherent advantages, like facilities-wise and size-wise, over the others. Like, you're going to let a school with 2,500 kids go recruit against a high school with 1,000 kids just already.
Well, I think recruiting would mitigate that. I think recruiting would give. First of all, aren't you based on the size of your school? I'm not familiar with public school stuff. But isn't your class based on how big the school is?
Yeah, you're designated.
So you're not really having a 1,000-person school competing against 2,500.
Yeah, there's there's 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A. It's all based on the size of the school.
So why not just let recruit? I mean, it happens in private school. It happens everywhere else in the world. I'll put it this way. Two of my kids went to private school. One of my kids, Meg, who's at Cornell, went to public school. Her first 2 years at high school, we had like state championship quality volleyball. The last 2 years, the bulk of the team graduated. We were the pits. It sucked. I wanted to recruit. Why not recruit? I don't know. I think recruiting's fine.
Against the rules for public school.
I know it is. I'd like to change the rules.
You're a brainwashed private school kid.
I'm a private school guy.
The public schools take pride in winning from your kids from your neighborhood. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I think, by the way, high school sports are dying also. Now, football's the one where it will never die because they don't have really club, but it's dying in everything else. If you're an elite soccer player, elite whatever, you a lot of times they don't even let you play in high school. It's high school sports are dying.
Here's what people are upset by.
Most kids
The head coach
aren't elite, though.
The head coach may be a great coach. All right, Daryl Overton won championships at Freedom, and now he's got this team at Hayfield that's dominant. But it's pretty obvious they've cheated.
What if they didn't?
There are current rules, it defies logic, that all these kids would end up in the same neighborhood.
No, obviously
you
they
know their way to
recruited them.
skirt the rules.
They obviously recruited them, but what if they then got condos or something? I don't even know.
Well, that just sounds.
They were recruited.
shady.
I
already.
no doubt they were recruited
by the letter,
and followed their coach.
Yeah, but by the letter of the law, it can be all above board.
Yeah. I mean, they clearly wanted to follow the program.
Yeah.
But the cheating is recruiting. He recruited these guys.
Okay. I'm not going to argue. He did.
I don't know what the
on some
investigation
level.
was. I don't know if they looked at the address and they knock on doors and they see if the kid's actually there. Because there are tales from parents that these guys are driving all over the place just to get to Hayfield High School.
Right.
You went to a high school, you know this, when Joe Gibbs' son lived in a hotel so that he could play for DeMatha
I'm used to
football.
But again, that's a
recruiting.
private school, so
Right.
that's completely different.
All right, sneak in a couple phone calls.
2 of my kids are recruited at high school. All right, let's go. Where are we going to go? Let's go to John.
If
in
so many
Fairfax.
mouses over there.
I'm sorry. John, what's up, buddy?
Guys, how we doing? You guys are great. Love listening to you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hey guys, listen, there's a process that goes on in Fairfax County with kids being moved to different schools. There's an entire vetting process that has to go on. Kids have to register. They have to show appropriate documentation about where they live, provide bills, all the rest of it. Then there's an eligibility process that is different.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an academic portion of that eligibility, but then there's also a residency issue, and then there's also a guardianship issue.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to live with your guardian, your
Right.
legal guardian, and that's part of the other issue that's going on here at Hayfield. Listen, guys, they're cheating across the board, and this is going to go higher than just their coach.
So,
You know,
do you think that maybe they fulfill some of it, but they're just not like living in those addresses that they're giving? Like they might be legit addresses, like a family member or something, but they're not living there.
There's all kinds of speculation on that. There are people that saying that they've been offered money to give their address for the paperwork purposes.
Right.
You know, are there some kids that are living in those homes? Potentially. But the odds of all those kids leaving the same school that the coach was at, going to a new neighborhood, all being registered properly, eligible properly. Oh, they just happen to be football players. And oh, by the way, they happen to be really good football players.
Yeah, thank you,
That's
John.
real
It's not even just the Freedom players. I mentioned kid from DeMatha, kid from St. John's. You don't think they were recruited?
No, I don't doubt they were.
They had commits, guys who had already committed to Clemson and Virginia Tech, who, I mean, they already
I mean, you
are
could
committed.
they probably recruited verbally and said, "Hey, come with me." But also, they probably also there's a part that some that could just chase that coach, just
Yep.
want to play for that coach,
Yeah.
because they know it's
Sure.
a high quality program.
Yep. And he coached some of them in 7-on-7 and
Yeah.
from young ages.